Some of you are standing here today, not because life was kind, but because it tried to break you and failed. The path you've walked was not smooth. It was steep, uneven, and lined with shadows. And yet, you are still here, breathing, watching, listening. I have seen that the heaviest storms are not sent to punish the chosen, but to refine them. In the Shaolin way, trials are not accidents. They are designed like fire shaping steel, to strip away what is weak and call forth what is unshakable. This is the hidden truth. The hardest test is often not the one you prepared for, but the one that comes when you think you have nothing left to give. In this teaching, you will discover why life's most crushing moments are often the silent blessings in disguise. You will learn the Shaolin method of standing rooted while the world shakes, how to use stillness as a weapon, and why those who endure with clarity emerge transformed. These are not the common sayings repeated without depth. These are lessons born from centuries of disciplined practice, from monks who faced hunger, exile, and solitude, yet turned each hardship into strength. Stay with me until the end, because the story is not just about the test, it is about what happens after you pass it. There is a way to carry this victory forward, so the same strength that saved you can guide others. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. If you walk this path with us, subscribe, and step deeper into the discipline and wisdom that turns life's hardest blows into the very thing that makes you unbreakable. Pain can be a merciless teacher, yet it often speaks the clearest truth. In the Shaolin temple, every day began before the sun rose, in the biting cold of the mountain air. Young disciples would train until their muscles trembled, holding stances until their legs burned, striking the wooden post until their knuckles split. There was no comfort waiting at the end of the day. Only more practice, more repetition, more testing of limits. To an outsider, it could seem like punishment. Why force the body to suffer? Why demand so much of the mind? But within the walls of the temple we understood hardship was the forge, and we were the metal. Every trial had purpose. Each ache, each drop of sweat, each moment of doubt was placed there to strip away weakness and awaken something deeper: focus, patience, unshakable spirit. The masters never explained in gentle words. They let the training speak for itself. When the legs quivered in horse stance and the mind screamed for release, a quiet truth would emerge: you can endure more than you believe. And with that endurance came clarity. Your own life is no different. The tests you face, loss, betrayal, uncertainty, may feel cruel. But if you see them as the monk sees the early morning cold, they change shape. They stop being punishments and become a form of coaching, sharpening you in ways comfort never could. The question is not why me, but what is this training me for? In Shaolin, every hardship was a teacher in disguise. The same is true for you. The discipline may not be of your choosing, but its purpose is clear: to prepare you for the day you must stand, calm and steady, when everything else falls away. In the heart of a storm, even the strongest tree will sway, but its roots decide whether it stands. The same is true for the mind. When life trembles beneath your feet, the only true anchor is the center you cultivate within. In the Shaolin temple, I was once told to stand still while others moved around me, shouting, testing, even trying to break my focus. At first my heart raced, my breath grew shallow, my mind chased every distraction, but the master's instruction was simple: do not fight the noise. Breathe, and let it pass through you. So I began to watch the rise and fall of each breath, not controlling, just noticing. I listened to my thoughts the way one listens to distant rain. Anger would appear, then fade. Fear would tighten, then loosen, like clouds drifting across the sky. Each feeling came and went. I learned that I was not the storm, not the noise, not the fear. I was the one watching. This is awareness. It is not escape. It is not denial. It is the art of knowing where you stand when the ground itself is shaking. By simply observing breath, thought, emotion, you create a space between the trigger and your response. And in that space you are free to choose. Without this, stress takes command. It decides your words, your actions, your future. With awareness, you reclaim the position of master. You are no longer dragged into every wave. You ride above them, seeing clearly. When chaos surrounds you, the mind wants to match its pace. But the Shaolin way is to slow down, to root the breath, to know the pattern of your thoughts. This is how the center is built, not in silence, but in the middle of the noise. The body tells the mind what it already knows. In Shaolin practice, a stance is never casual. Feet pressed firmly to the ground, knees soft but strong, spine upright, shoulders relaxed. Each posture is a lesson in gravity and balance. A single misalignment can topple the tallest stance, just as a mind unanchored can crumble under pressure. I remember standing in the hall, legs burning from holding horse stance, arms extended, eyes fixed forward. At first it felt impossible. Every fiber of the body demanded release, yet the masters encouraged stillness, repetition, and intention. They said the ground beneath the feet is not just soil, it is support, a mirror of the inner state. The lower you root yourself physically, the higher your mind can rise without wavering. This is the secret many overlook. Grounding is not merely about posture, it is a daily cultivation, a steady habit, a small act of focus, a deliberate breath. Each builds the foundation invisible to others. Over time it becomes resilience, a quiet strength that endures when storms come. The world will shift, pressures will mount, and circumstances will test you beyond measure. But the roots you have nurtured through daily discipline hold you firm. Balance is never given, it is earned in repetition, in intention, in mindful attention to both body and mind. Ancient masters knew that the external chaos is always temporary, but the inner alignment lasts. The deeper the root, the less any wind can sway the trunk. In life this is more than a stance, it is a principle. Anchor yourself in awareness, steady habits, and conscious choice, and no force outside can unbalance the foundation you've built within. When every element moves against you, your inner root keeps you upright. The strength is quiet, but it is absolute. Water does not resist the shape of the riverbed. It bends, curves, and flows where it must. Yet when it gathers in force, it can carve stone. Shaolin wisdom embraces this same principle. True strength is not rigid, but adaptable. A rigid tree snaps in the wind. A flexible reed endures. During training, monks are taught to move without fixed form. Hands may strike one way, legs may shift another. The body learns to yield, to adjust, to find openings rather than force them. It is not weakness. It is strategic intelligence. The mind mirrors this practice. When life pushes against you in directions unforeseen, the first response is not resistance, but awareness. Flow with the challenge, explore its edges, understand its weight. There is a hidden power in yielding. It conserves energy, preserves clarity, and reveals opportunity where a confrontational stance would only meet struggle. The test is bending you, not breaking you. Observing, adapting, and moving with the moment allows the mind and spirit to remain fluid, to retain their center. And yet Shaolin teaches that formlessness is not aimlessness. There are moments when decisiveness is required. When clarity emerges, when the opening reveals itself, action must be sharp, deliberate, undeniable. Flow gives way to force, soft to firm, observation to execution. In those moments, mastery shows itself. Not in constant struggle, but in knowing when to bend, when to strike, when to stand unyielding. Life's trials are rarely linear, they twist, fold, and test your flexibility. The path of inner mastery is learning to navigate the currents, staying supple, yet always prepared to act with precision. Like water, you endure, adapt, and ultimately shape the course of your own journey, not by fighting every bend, but by knowing which moments demand your full force. Every movement begins in the mind. In the halls of Shaolin, a bow is never just a gesture, a strike never just motion. Each action flows from the same center, the same intention, the same breath. The body and mind are trained to speak the same language, to move as one, to respond with clarity born from stillness. During early morning practice, the air thick with silence, a single breath could guide an entire sequence. Hands lifted, legs shifted, eyes focused, all in perfect synchrony. It was not speed or power that mattered most, it was alignment. When the mind hesitates or doubts, the body follows. When the body resists or tenses, the mind falters. Harmony between the two is not accidental, it is cultivated through discipline, ritual, and conscious attention. This alignment is a key to inner mastery. Stress, when approached without unity, feels like a force against us, chaotic, overwhelming, unpredictable. But when mind and body are trained to move as one, stress transforms. It becomes a signal, a guide, a messenger. Every tension, every challenge, every pulse of fear is observed, understood, and translated into purposeful action. The same hands that tense in panic can soften in acceptance. The same mind that wavers can anchor itself in calm focus. Ritual, repetition, and presence are the tools. Breathing, stepping, bowing, meditating, each is practice in translation, teaching the mind to trust the body to follow the mind, and both to respond to life with clarity. The warrior who masters this flow does not fight the storm. He reads it, moves with it, and lets it carry him, without losing balance. True alignment is quiet, steady, and invisible, yet it shapes every encounter, every decision, every heartbeat. Stress is no longer an enemy to endure, it is a teacher, revealing the contours of strength already present within. In the temple, a student could practice a sequence 100 times without applause, without recognition. The masters watched not for speed, not for flair, not even for victory. They watched for precision, for mindfulness in each step, for the harmony of breath and movement, a perfect stance, a controlled strike, a mindful breath. These were the marks of progress, far more than any external reward. This is a lesson that stretches beyond the whole. Life's tests are rarely measured in trophies or accolades. The passing is not always in the visible outcome. It lies in the way we respond, in the care we give to each choice, in the clarity and intention behind every action. A moment of patience, a controlled word, a calm breath in the face of chaos. These are the victories that go unseen, but they shape the course of everything else. I remember a day in training when the sequence felt impossible, every movement clumsy, every breath uneven. Frustration surged, but the master said nothing. Only when I slowed, when I focused on each tiny motion, aligning body, breath and mind, did the flow arrive. The steps became exact, precise, effortless. And in that moment, I realized that the reward had never been the finish, it had been the execution itself. The principle is clear. Attention is the currency of mastery. Result follows naturally from care, from discipline, from being fully present. When life pushes, when pressure mounts, when tests arrive unexpectedly, the same rule applies. The outcome is secondary. The alignment of mind, body, and intention is primary. Master that and the result will follow, not by force, not by luck, but because your response carries its own power. Excellence lives in the execution, not in the applause. True mastery is measured by how deeply we attend to each step, each breath, each choice, in every moment we face. Discomfort is often seen as something to escape, but in Shaolin practice, it is embraced. Monks would sit in cold water before dawn, hold stances until muscles trembled, push through exhaustion and hunger, not to punish themselves, but to discover the edges of their own capacity. Each moment of pain was a mirror, reflecting what remained hidden beneath complacency. I remember a winter morning on the mountain. The wind cut through layers of cloth, biting, relentless. Every breath felt heavy. My body wanted to flee, to curl into warmth and safety, but the master's gaze was steady, silent. Sit with it, he said. See what it tells you. In those moments, doubt arose, stress weighed down the mind, and yet there was a strange clarity. The discomfort was not a sign of failure, it was pointing toward a space within me that had been untouched, waiting for attention. The lesson is profound. Pain, struggle, uncertainty, they do not mark the end of the path, they are signposts along it, highlighting areas where growth, resilience and strength reside. To avoid suffering is to remain on the surface, to miss the opportunity to deepen. To meet it intentionally is to explore the terrain of the self, to map the contours of courage and patience, endurance and insight. This is the secret that the masters understood long before it became wisdom spoken aloud. Suffering is not the enemy, it is a teacher, a guide to the hidden chambers of mind and spirit. Every ache, every doubt, every moment of tension carries a message. The deeper the discomfort, the more fertile the ground for transformation. Learning to reframe suffering in this way turns life's harshest tests into invitations to discover the strength, clarity, and depth that have always existed within. The edge of discomfort is where the self expands. It is where mastery is born, not in ease, but in presence, courage and attention to the truths that only struggle can reveal. True mastery grows quietly, in the monastery, No one celebrated a single flawless kick or perfect form. The work was in repetition, hundreds of stances, hundreds of breaths, hundreds of strikes, day after day. Progress was invisible to anyone watching, but unmistakable to the one who persisted. Strength, focus, and clarity were built not in grand gestures, but in steady, unbroken attention. I recall the winter training courtyard, frozen ground beneath bare feet, the sun still below the horizon. Every monk moved through the same sequences, over and over, as if the world outside did not exist. At first the monotony felt endless, but slowly a rhythm emerged. The body remembered before the mind even spoke. The breath guided the step. The smallest correction repeated consistently became the difference between stumbling and standing unshakable. Life's tests operate the same way. When pressure mounts, when fear whispers that your effort is wasted, it is consistency, not dramatic action, that carries you forward. A small deliberate choice, repeated daily, has more power than a single act of desperation. A calm breath when anger rises, a steady word when chaos surrounds you, a quiet effort when hope feels distant. These are the strokes that paint the canvas of resilience. The masters understood that mastery is patient. It is built in silence, in ordinary days, in acts unseen, and often unremarkable. The reward is not applause, but inner fortitude, the kind that meets hardship with steady eyes and unwavering presence. Keep moving, step by step. Keep breathing, moment by moment. Keep speaking, acting, and practicing with intention. Over time, the accumulation of small consistent efforts becomes unshakable strength. It is not flashy, it is slow, it is quiet, and it is enough to carry you through even the harshest trials. True mastery in Shaolin is never measured by personal glory. It is measured by harmony with mind, body, and the world around you. Every strike, every stance, every breath is aligned, not just with your own intention, but with the rhythm of life itself. The individual self becomes a vessel for something greater, a conduit for balance, awareness, and quiet strength. I remember a day during meditation, the courtyard empty except for the wind. A fellow monk struggled with a sequence, frustration tightening his shoulders. I could feel the tension around him, yet I remained calm, focused on my own practice. In that stillness, something shifted, not just in me, but in the energy around him. His movement softened, his breath steadied. Without words, without force, my calm had become a guide, a quiet presence that carried influence. This is the essence of what it means to pass life's hardest tests. Your victory is not contained within your own life. Every step you take with clarity, every choice you meet with patience and courage, radiates outward. The stability you cultivate becomes a silent teacher to those still caught in chaos. Your endurance, your quiet resolve, your steady breath, they ripple into the world, touching others in ways you may never see. In the Shaolin view, challenges are never isolated. They are part of the current of life, and how you navigate them shapes not only your path, but the paths of those around you. When you emerge from struggle grounded, aware and present, you become a beacon, not because you sought recognition, but because the universe recognizes the alignment within you. Passing a test is never only about survival, it is about transmitting harmony, showing by example that calm, focus, and strength are possible, even in the storms that seem endless. Mastery is a gift that extends far beyond the self. There is a quiet moment that arrives after the storm has passed, a stillness that feels almost sacred. It is in this space that you realize the test was never truly about the hardship itself. The struggle was a passage, a doorway to something larger than your own understanding. When met with patience, presence, and clarity, the trial becomes more than endurance, it becomes revelation. I remember a time when the day's practice pushed every limit of body and mind. Fatigue, frustration, and doubt pressed in from all sides. Yet somewhere in the repetition of breath and stance, a subtle shift occurred. A sense of openness emerged, as if a quiet current had entered the mind, guiding each movement with precision and calm. It was not earned through will alone. It was given in response to the willingness to meet difficulty fully. This is the nature of grace. It is not something that appears in easy moments, nor is it found in fleeting victories. It reveals itself when you have walked through fire, when the weight of life bends but does not break you, when the mind remains attentive and the spirit unmoved. The universe meets effort with presence, struggle with clarity, and courage with opportunity. To be chosen through hardship is a truth that often escapes those who look only for comfort. The test does not select the fortunate or the untroubled. It selects those willing to move through difficulty with awareness and integrity. In doing so, you are marked, not by chance, but by the unfolding of resilience and insight that only trials can cultivate. Passing the test the right way is a communion with something beyond the self. It is a reminder that hardship, when embraced with discipline and awareness, is not a barrier but a bridge, a path that leads to wisdom, strength, and a grace that carries far beyond the limits of the individual. The moment of passing a trial is quiet, almost imperceptible. There is no fanfare, no heralding of victory, only the subtle awareness that you have endured, learned and grown. Yet this moment is not the end, it is a beginning, the first breath after the climb, the calm after the storm. In the days that follow, life will continue to test you. Challenges will appear in new forms, unexpected, subtle, even disguised as ordinary events. The lesson is not to seek trials, but to carry the principles you have discovered into every encounter. Rooted strength is the foundation, the calm certainty that comes from knowing your center will hold, no matter how the external world shifts. Clarity is the lens through which every decision is made, unclouded by fear, impatience, or doubt. Adaptability is the flow that allows you to move through change without losing balance or purpose. Mastery is not measured in dramatic moments or visible triumphs. It is found in steady presence, in the compassionate response to struggle, in the awareness that every choice matters. It is alive because it is lived moment to moment, breath by breath, thought by. It is compassionate because it extends beyond the self, strength tempered with understanding, power guided by awareness, endurance paired with kindness. Even after passing the hardest test, the work continues. Life's currents will pull and push, but each challenge becomes an opportunity to reinforce the discipline you have forged. Every encounter, every difficulty, every choice is a chance to live the principles you have learned, to act with intention, respond with wisdom, and remain unshakable. True mastery is steady, alive, and compassionate. It is not a destination, but a way of moving through the world. Having passed the test, you are ready not only to stand firm, but to guide yourself, and silently those around you, through every unfolding moment that comes next. Life's hardest tests are never random. They arrive not to punish, but to guide, to shape, and to reveal the strength that already lies within. Shaolin wisdom teaches us that the path through struggle begins by grounding ourselves, aligning mind and body, and focusing on the process rather than the outcome. It is in patience, quiet consistency, and mindful presence that we find the power to meet discomfort without losing balance. When we approach hardship this way, we do more than survive, we transform. Each trial becomes a teacher, each challenge a doorway, and in that transformation, we become beacons for others. Proof that even the most difficult moments can be met with calm, clarity, and strength. Take these lessons into your daily life. Notice your breath when tension rises. Step with intention when life feels uncertain. Stand rooted when circumstances threaten to pull you off balance. These small practices accumulate, shaping resilience and inner mastery far more than dramatic actions ever could. Passing the hardest test is sacred, not because of what is achieved, but because of who we become in the process. Carry that wisdom quietly, steadily, and generously. Let your calm strength and presence ripple outward, touching not only your own life, but the lives of those around you. If you found value in this teaching, join our journey. Subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire and step deeper into the discipline, clarity, and wisdom that transform life's trial. May your mind be steady, your spirit strong, and your presence a light in the world.